Hello there! In today's video, you are the passenger, I'm the driver, and in the event of an accident, I'm not insured because I don't have a driving license. This is a game by Peter Kozlava, published by Albi and with art by Jacob Politzer. Now, who might this game be for? Well, anyone who likes cars, or anyone like me who once had a very hot summer fling with a Forza Motorsport video game. But if that isn't you, keep watching for a little bit, because I think this game's also really interesting for anyone who likes unusual games and anyone who just loves a game that goes on a deep dive into a niche. In this game, you're going to be playing cards into a shifting tableau, modifying your deck with stuff from a shop, sliding a car left and right all over the road in a manner that might be dangerous, frankly. And maybe your cool, reckless driving will get you loads of fans. Or maybe you'll just suffer the consequences of it, and it'll be bad. Or both. So, where to begin? Dirt and Dust is a quietly unusual game, to the point that I'm not sure how to classify it by genre. I've never really played anything quite like it. This is a deck-building card game that sometimes feels like it might be a Euro game. Importantly though, you do need to know this is not a racing game. This game is all about rally driving, and it means you're not physically bumping up against your opponent's bumpers. Your real opponent is the track, with each player competing independently to get the best time on that racetrack. You're going to get points by successfully navigating the different chunks of this track, and you're also going to get points for cards in your deck if you've got some really juicy ones. After you've all finished the course, you tot up the points and you find out who's won in the game of cars. Now, alright, in a game in which we have Hot Streak, you might be forgiven that replacing an actual racetrack with a victory point track is arguably a crime against the laws of nature somehow. I mean, it just doesn't feel right. It's like spitting in the face of the combustion engine. But despite this frankly quite severe abstraction, this game is exciting, surprisingly tense, and genuinely conjures the true spirit of racing. By which I mean I can't play it without making little car noises, either in my brain or out of mouth. Beep beep, get out of the way, I got to get to the next bit of the review so I can tell you roughly what happens in a round of the game. Beep beep, beep. I'm in a car. On each of your turns, you're going to play simultaneously, playing cards from your personal deck of car cards onto your player board. You're then going to be activating some of these cards, and then when everyone is done, all of these cards are going to get shifted one slot down the track. At the point at which they get shifted off the end, they go back into your personal temporary bin. After you've slid your little set of cards along, any cards still in these slots are going to be there at the start of the next round, and potentially that's great. I've got a passive ability on my special racer card that I can just activate for free every round, which means it's going to be usable for me this round, 2, 3, for the next 4 rounds. But it might be the opposite of great, which is tired. Maybe I've filled up all of my slots with cards, then obviously you don't have many empty slots in the next round. And sure, I can reuse some of these abilities, but not being able to play fresh cards from my hand into the slots that I want to severely limits my control of this car. Tag! But let's pretend I haven't clogged up my engine with this metaphorical gravy. When you start a round with a fresh slate, the world is your petrol oyster. And this flexibility matters because at the start of the round, before you put dice onto your board, you're going to roll your personal dice. And the values you roll affect which action slots you can use this turn. So just place each of the dice in their relevant number slot. So then, ooh, hurrah, I can place this here, and this here, and activate each of these cards by going beep, beep, beep. Great. And that was a nice clean spread, wasn't it? But it might not be like that. There's no limit to how many times you can activate a card. You just activate the slots that the dices roll. And so if, for example, I rolled a pair of 6s, I get 2 actions on my 6 slot. And ooh, that means I can play this card, which allows me to turn the 6s into red dice. Activating this means I can take 2 of these special extra bonus red dice. These red dice are just normal dice, and you only get to keep them for 1 round. But basically it means you get extra actions this turn, albeit ones that you don't get to choose where they are. A 1 and a 4. Could be better. Add into the mix that you've got card abilities that let you change the values of these dice and move them around. And you can probably comprehend how these explosions of actions can see you excitedly filling all of your slots up with cards so you can maximize all of these dice actions and do loads of cool stuff. And then it's the next turn and you've got a full slot of, you've got no control. So a delightful little lubricated engine for hubris. And this is where the theme and the mechanics of Dirt and Dust come together and have a tiny little car-based baby. Dirt and Dust is a game about planning. You're not really the person driving the car, you're the person sitting next to them holding a little clipboard. Hard left, hard right, ooh, careful, ooh, it's quite bumpy, isn't it? I don't like it, etc. They're just thinking about taking the next corner, but you're thinking about the corner after that and the bit after that. These cards in the middle represent the racetrack. And if you've played one of your little stopwatch tokens onto a bit of track, it means you've got a nice plan for that section of the course. At the end of each round, you are going to drive through the next section of course, and that means anyone who's got one of their tokens on it is going to score it. The other sections of track then loom closer, and we flip another one from this deck, and we keep doing this until every single section of track has been scored. But while it's always the card at the very bottom that's going to get scored at the end of the round, on your turn, you can place these tokens on any visible pieces of track, providing you pay the cost in the top. So I could go, oh, I've got a plan for this bit of the course. But cripes, Matthew, why would you do that? Because not all of these track cards are going to score equally. It might be better to make a plan to score later if you're not going to do very well right now. And I mean, yes, we had a plan, but when that card eventually shuffles down, what happened to that plan? Where's your car exactly? Where's your car? Oh, it's all the way over there, in that mud. Which means you actually didn't score many points at all. Ideally, when you're driving, you want to stay on the road. This little car token and this little sliver of track is kind of like a 1980s perspective on arcade driving. A locked camera behind the car showing your current position on the track. And the position of your car when you're clearing each of these track cards is going to affect the number of points that you get. Slap bang in the middle at the front, that's 4 points. Slightly further back though, only 3, but still pretty cracking, don't worry about it. Because yes, in addition to this left and right sections, you've got front and back to kind of allow the abstraction for your car's actually going really fast or your car's going a little bit slower. And because of that, there are more segments at the back, which means you kind of have more control over moving your car. Whereas at the front, it's a little bit more exciting. This speedy or slower position of the car on the track is also going to affect the bonuses you're going to get when you activate each of these cards. What's neat is that each card has 2 halves and you can activate them in any order you'd like. So I could do this, get myself 2 bonus spanners for being in the front part of the course, then I could activate the other half to move me back and to give my car more control. Moving back and forth like this is an ability you'll find on cards. Moving left and right, not so much. That's going to cost you grip. Grip is one of the game's 2 economic resources, represented by these 2 delightful wobbly dials. So we just have to spend a bunch of grip to move the car into the middle of the track, and then we'll score really big. When the cards are done, yes, but the resource you spend to put your tokens on those cards, allowing you to actually score them, is also grip. Is grip a limited resource? You bet your bottom it is. And sadly, you can't just keep your car in the middle of the road. Whenever you place one of these tokens onto a racetrack card, these cards are going to force you to immediately move your car a couple of spaces left or right, in some instances up to 3, maybe 4 spaces left or right. But what's wicked about Dirt and Dust is you can kind of account for this by looking at the track ahead. So I know that when I'm going to put a token on here, I'm going to have to move 3 spaces right, which is not great. But if I manage to put one up here, then it's going to move me 3 spaces left back to where I was. And this game just sings when you're in the zone taking advantage of this stuff, slingshotting your car around into the perfect position and scoring big as you swoosh through that section of track. And sometimes it means just not being greedy. Yes, you want to put tokens on all of these cards. Obviously, that's loads of points, but is it really worth trying to go for points if it means sliding that many spaces left now? Well, maybe it is worth it, yes, because moving the car left and right again only costs grip. And we can get more grip for free at any time. All we need to do is roll a dice and maybe take some damage, which, you know, these red pips, not ideal, but the blue one's fantastic. That means people like you. Danger equals popularity in the world of car racing, apparently. That's also what these different spaces at the edge of your personal automobile positional matrix mean. If you score a track card whilst your car is at the edge over here, then instead of getting victory points, you're going to get popularity points. Drive recklessly in a professional capacity and apparently people will love you for it. And popularity here is both a tangible resource and a competition. If you are the most popular person at the start of a round, you get to roll this special dice. Ooh, shiny bonuses. But if you want a little tip from me, thankfully there's an even easier way to move your car left and right very quickly. All you need to do, one simple trick, just brake your car a bit, just a little bit. What could be bad about this brilliant idea? Every time you roll these dice and get some red pips, you're gonna move your little biffometer damage meter that many spaces up. Every time it hits 5, it goes back, but you have to flip over one of these little damage tokens. Bloop, 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 bing! Congratulations, you've caused permanent damage. The first prize you get for doing this, it's a doozy. Every time you move left or right, you must move one additional space. Whoa! But that's just for beginners starts. So many other bounties await you on this brand new journey of mistakes you're now on. Every time you spend a spanner, spend one more. Every time you spend grip, spend one more. Like that hand of 5 cards, bad news, it's down to 3. Enjoyed moving your car more? Well, how about that again? Every time you move, now move one more space. Racer special abilities? Nope. Can't remember what that one does, but it's just bad. And then, oh look, you've blown up the actual car. Wow, let's ignore some of the genuinely bad things in there and just focus on how cool it will be when your car moves left and right really fast. Because what's the worst that can happen? Sure, if your car moves and then needs to move off the edge of the track, you just have to roll another damage dice. I got 2 of them now. But we already wanted damage, so we just got damage making more damage. That's money printing money. Now obviously, I was being silly. Full disclosure, that was me being silly. But seriously, damaging your car just a little bit might not be a bad thing. It might be fine. The problem is that every time you roll one of these damage dice, they are a part of your dice pool, up to a maximum of 3. Which means you'll roll those damage dice again at the start of each new round. There are ways that you can remove them and not have to roll them anymore, but you can't undo any of the damage that you've done. Sorry, I went a bit EastEnders there. If the idea of playing with fire and putting fires inside of your engine really appeals to you, then you'll probably get on pretty well with Sofia Fernandez. There are 4 different racer characters that you can play as, each of which come with 5 cards, which is half of your deck at the start of the game. Now, these different racers don't make the game completely asymmetric, but if you do lean in to what their starting deck is doing, then you will end up playing a very different game to people around the table. Sophia, for example, just loves playing with danger dice, doing things that go boomf, make car go dangerous, but also then going, hey, don't worry about it, I can stop danger. Wasn't really a very good English sentence, but you get the gist. Aiko Yamamoto loves binning cards, thinning out your deck as quick as you like it. Harry Jordan lets you manipulate dice results, leaving you less at the whims of random chance, if that's your thing. While this chap with a beautiful moustache just invites you to get a little bit bloaty. Their ability allows you to just take and add 1 or 2 cost cards into your deck for free, and then gives you the ability to quite easily wipe the slate clean. When you have a turn and you go, oh, this is messy, activating this ability will allow you to just put as many cards as you like into the discard, freeing you up for a world of new opportunities. Each of these races feel a bit different to play, and after playing with a few of them, you're like, I want to try that one. Add to that the fact that this isn't the only race course. There's a set of different tracks in the box, some of which do mechanically quite weird things. You've also got this shop of cards that you can add into your deck. There's a whole second deck that you can use instead, a whole separate B-side shop. But I'm broadly aware that even without any of that, my description of the game thus far has been a little all over the place. And that's unfortunately necessary because this game is very freeform. On each of your turns, after you've rolled the dice, there really aren't any phases or steps that you go through. Everyone plays simultaneously and you can just do pretty much whatever you like in any order you like. So maybe I'll activate a card once, which will get me 2 grip, and then I'll spend a whole bunch of grip to put a token onto one of these track cards. Then I'm gonna spend a different card down here, activate that to remove this card from my Tableau, which means I can then pay a different card here and activate that one later. And then when you start rolling bonus red dice and shifting things around, the possibility space here on any given turn becomes unbelievably juicy. And this flexibility can at times become a little bit overwhelming. You're trying to hold this big turn in your head like it's some sort of car-based Sistine Chapel ceiling. And if I can just do this and that, then I'll make the car move left a little bit, but in a way that's perfect. And it's here that this game thrives in being completely simultaneous. As long as you're confident that you can hold what you're doing in your head, this game becomes a little bit exploratory. You can roll it back and go, no, actually, I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play this one. And you're not annoying anyone with this flip-flopping to try and get the perfect outcome. But perhaps you might be if you were playing a game with lots of other people who are waiting for you to finish, because you're all doing your own thing at the same time. And this scope for perfection makes some rounds unbelievably satisfying. But it also means that you have the lovely thing, as I've talked about, of filling up your engine, making that mistake. That means you then have a round where you're really stuck and you don't have much control. And even then you have to crunch even harder to work out what the best thing you can do when you've got real limits in play. The design of this game is unbelievably permissive. If you think, can I do this? Then yes, you probably can. But I love that also, despite the big brain possibilities, you do still have rounds when you draw up cards and you're at the whims of what you've got. Like, yes, you roll these dice and then you can spend spanners to nudge them one space to change these numbers. You do have options, but it doesn't feel good. And this all adds together to create a game that is quite weird, because this broad lack of restrictions that you have whilst playing around means that there are fewer rules that you have to remember. And once you've gotten over the hurdle of the iconography, and I mean, gosh, there really is a lot of it, after you've got your head around all of that, the game's rules click and stick. And in a way, the fact that it all sticks is kind of what makes it strange. This is an unbelievably solitary, economic-y puzzle that nonetheless still makes you feel like you're racing. And I don't know how they've done that, but that is game design. They've done a good job of the game design. So I do know how they've done that. Well done. While I don't know if I love Dirt and Dust, I do really like it, and I think it's great. I would happily recommend it to anyone who loves motorsports. And obviously that recommendation is very inane, but I'd also say I'd give this a shot if you're somebody who, like me, is just eternally interested in odd game design. I think this game is pretty cool. If you're a seasoned weirdo nerd like me, then you'll have a really great time with this, but I think I'd struggle to recommend you just put this in front of anyone. It might not be fiddly, but it's still quite complicated. More so than that, I think the freedom you're offered on your turns, and the fact that you're just given the agency to do it on your own, that's like catnip to me. But new players often don't like that so much. I don't know if it's the preconception about what board games are like, or a lack of confidence and worried about getting things wrong, but new players love rules, and they really need to be gently guided if you want to take things off-road. Oh no, I've just crashed my imaginary car. I think I'm just going to get out and run away before it imaginarily explodes.